The Tuskegee Syphilis Study, Juneteenth, the Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street, the Wilmington Massacre of 1898, the Green Book in North Carolina, the African slave trade. Wow, those are significant events, would you agree? Oh, you didn't know about them? Because you were never taught about them in American history class, where they teach about the history of America? But don't feel bad. That's the majority of the United States. This is critical race theory. Real fast, did you know that less than 10% of class time is dedicated to Black history? Only 8% of seniors can identify slavery as a central cause of the Civil War. 7 states don't even mention the word slavery at all. 8 states don't mention the civil rights movements, and only 2 states mention white supremacy. Only 2. Critical race theory. We've been hearing it, the good, the bad, or just the uneducated. On the news and the social medias, YouTube channels, yeah, it's a lot. So here I am, ready to unpack it with you. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? Critical race theory, or CRT, is defined as an academic movement of U.S. civil rights scholars and activists who seek to critically examine the intersection of race and U.S. law and to challenge mainstream American liberal approaches to racial justice. CRT originated in the mid-1970s in the writings of several American scholars. After not picking up much recognition, it really became a movement in the 1980s, reworking theories of critical legal studies, and differs from movements such as the Civil Rights Movement, which sought to work within the structures of American democracy. Critical race theorists challenge the very foundation of the liberal order, such as rationalism, constitutional law, and legal reasoning. Critical race theorists argue that American social life, political structures, and economic systems are founded upon race, which is a social construct. CRT draws from thinkers such as Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, and W.E.B. Du Bois, as well as the Black Power movement, Chicano, and radical feminist movements from the 1960s and 1970s. First of all, yes, to all of that. Where we go from there is a lot of protesting through the 1980s. What, y'all thought you were the first protesters out here? You have these badass students out from Harvard pressuring the school to incorporate racial diversity into the curriculums, while also wanting faculty of color to teach students of color in these courses. Sounds fair to me. But unfortunately, the schools denied the students' request, stating that they couldn't find a sufficiently qualified Black instructor, and instead employed a white dude to teach about something he had no business teaching. So the students are pissed, naturally, and they boycott the school and develop their own alternative course. So we jump ahead a couple years, and it's 1989, the year of My Prerogative. Coming to America just released, and it cost 97 cents for a gallon of gas. And I'm literally going to cry about it. But also, it was the year of the first meeting, which means nothing to any of us. And it didn't mean much then, because 24 scholars of color showed up to this workshop titled New Developments in Critical Race Theory, organized by legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw. She stated later, there were no new developments in critical race theory because CRT hadn't had any old ones. It didn't exist. It was made up as a name. Sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it. And that shit worked. Following the workshop, critical race theory started to gain an ear and recognition through the 1990s, or as Gen Z is calling us now, the late 1900s, which is not okay. So what's the big deal? Sounds like these Black scholars, which means people who literally study this as well as live it, have great ideologies to help our country become more educated and inclusive, right? So why such strong opposition and struggles? Why are projects like 1619 and teachers who are for CRT, state laws and movements like Black Lives Matter all being attacked all across the country? The answer? Racism. These people don't want to face being horribly wrong, and more so, giving up the comforts of living in their privilege. Ibram X, a Boston University professor, says racism is descriptive, and the only way to undo racism is to consistently identify and describe it, and then dismantle it. In September of 2020, Fox News conservative activist Christopher Rufo denounced CRT, and our former president, 45, issued an executive order directing agencies of the U.S. government to cancel funding for programs that mention white privilege or critical race theory, on the basis, get this, that it constituted divisive, un-American propaganda. And that is racist. I truly can't. Fortunately, President Biden in January of 2021 rescinded the order. Awesome. That's good news. So now we can get critical race theory into school and educate all these children. Not exactly. All across the country, parents and teachers and government officials are protesting on both sides of this. In spring of 2021, a bunch of GOP-sponsored bills proliferated in the state legislature, stating the goal of banning any teaching that, quote, the United States is fundamentally racist or sexist. Except someone needs to define to these guys what fundamental means. The genocide of indigenous peoples, the enslavement of African people, I'd say that's fundamental. You can't talk about U.S. history without talking about systemic racism. It's deeply rooted in our core. Currently, 8 states, Idaho, Iowa, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, New Hampshire, Arizona, and South Carolina. In those states, you cannot teach CRT or any sort of programs like it. Around 28 states have introduced legislation that would require teachers to lie about structural racism and other forms of oppression. Teachers are being threatened, fined, and fired from their jobs, which, damn, haven't teachers been through enough? The arguments are based around the suggestion that CRT and educators who want to teach CRT are being pinned for being racist, teaching their children to become racist, and that they are trying to shame white people rather than what is actually happening, which is helping the youth to understand the way multiracial movements can challenge structural racism, find solutions, and bring people to a higher consciousness. So what can we do? Currently, there is a hashtag Teach Truth campaign going around. You can pledge online to help in the effort of pushing back against these racist bills. More importantly, it is so essential for our young Black and brown youth to be racially literate, to learn where in many BIPOC communities they have reduced numbers of public housing units available after generations of redlining, to gain information about their segregated schools and neighborhoods, and police brutality and voting rights and COVID and how it's been disproportionately affecting Black and brown people. We need these teachers to be able to teach the students the way structural racism operates and affects their lives, so that they can better understand the world that they live in order to change it. As Septima Clark, a civil rights movement leader, once said, "I believe unconditionally in the ability of people to respond when they are told the truth." We need to be taught to study rather than just believe, to inquire rather than affirm. I hope this has given you something to think about, and better yet, something to fight for. Thanks for listening, guys.